The ROI perception is as important as the actual ROI, as I mentioned before. The third one is very, very important. In our survey, and I'll give you the exact number, we've realized that when we ask our SMEs, where do you spend your money? Like when you spend your local advertising money, where do you go? I know the answers. Before it was Yellow Pages, newspapers, magazines, blah, 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 verticals. Now, in our latest survey, 19%, so roughly 20% of their budget goes into their own website. 20%. And they consider this as local advertising. So this is a market that we think we should tackle and that we don't tackle today. Frequent and careful customer management is needed. You know, the drive thing that we used to do. Once a year, you come, visit the customer in an active way, get as much money as you can, and then you run away. We've done this for many, many years. Of course, caricature a little bit, but we need to change this approach. The advertiser needs differ across categories. You remember the example of agencies, and we need to keep it simple. Because a fantastic talent in our industry, and I've worked in 5 different countries, is to make things complex. I always like to use this. In the US, in Verizon, it took us 6 weeks to train a EADP sales rep, and in the US, you can become a pilot in 3 weeks. Or you can anyway have your first flight after 3 weeks. A hard time being an engineer. I have a hard time to understand why it takes twice as much time to train a Yellow Pages sales rep than to teach you to. So we need to do something about that. So to the question, I apologize, I'm just a little bit in the question, but as you can see at the bottom, the question is to the users, how important is each attribute when searching for local shops and services? And here is the answer. Now, as you can see, it's 2,100 consumers across 3 countries, and in case you don't know, I can tell you that there are not many common things between Belgium, Ireland, and Portugal. But what's very interesting is that this chart, with a few exceptions, is the same in the 3 countries. And here is the answer a little bit, because to me, it was a bit surprising. The first one is simplicity. And you get the comment, you know, there. The second one is content. The third one, of course, they are important, but the first one, and think for 2 seconds how Yellow retrieve search engines, the most important users, simplicity, content, and speed. I don't know, I was a bit surprised by proximity being the 4th one. You can say, of course, if they look for local product and service, they will just take for granted that proximity should be part of it. And complete is actually not that important anymore. You know our model, right? Yellow Pages to exhaustive. We have all listings in every area. It does not seem to be as important as it used to be. Of course they want listings, of course, an answer to their request. But they don't say, if they have 20 or 30 and they have the right answer, they seem to be very happy with it. Let's go to the advertiser. So to the advertiser, the question was, how do you allocate your marketing and advertising budget? The first good news is that Yellow retains a leading share with 1/3 of SME's budget. So it's still very significant. 24 plus 9 is 33%. I don't think this is a surprise. More interesting is that their own website, which you see in blue, and other online spending is 1/3 of their budget. And as you see, their own website is the 2nd largest category of expenditure. I'll come back to this because we think it's a huge opportunity for Yellow Pages companies to just grab some money. As you can see, Google, only between quotes, in our countries, represent 3% of their advertising spend. So they do spend more in their website to obviously improve their SEO position, but Google still remains, as we know, quite a complex model for very, small SMEs, for the plumber, the baker, and so on and so forth. It's also not the target group of Google. So I don't know what you think, but to me it was quite interesting. So what are the consequences? What does it mean for us? The first one is that clearly the point focus that some of us still have and that we had within Truvo go away and has to become a customer focus. I don't want to be, and I don't think any of us win a medal to just produce the nice, most beautiful print book directories and that our advertisers will be very happy if we do so. They don't care. What they want us to do is to bring them more business opportunities. They don't care about how the product looks. They don't really care to put their advertising between print, online, mobile, or whatever. What they want is leads. What they want is clients. And so our model will evolve very, very fast from a paid for inclusion to a paid for performance. So I'll make a few statements on the print directories. So let's look how we used to look at business, right? Print directories, where clearly print usage and revenues are impacted by the economy. And you know what? Again, I've worked in 5 different countries, and print usage has declined over the last 5 years everywhere. Everywhere. Now, that does not mean that it does not give a good ROI anymore. The ROI is still fantastic in comparison with magazines, newspapers, and so on. But it is declining, and that's something that we have to face. The second point, personally, I do not believe that the product will prosper in its current form. So I think we need to change the product as it stands today, and we change it very quickly if we want to long life it as much as we can. Again, I just refer to newspapers and how quickly it can go. In the middle, online directories. Online shows some back from the economic decline. I think I have to tell you that online growth in 2000 will still be much better than what we see in the total online market, but still not enough to offset the print decline. That, as I mentioned before, online directories, which is a kind of island, won't just be enough to generate that we need to generate to satisfy our advertisers and to transfer the revenue that we need to transfer. On the right-hand side, directory search is increasingly important. User-generated content, deeper engagement will drive usage. And we need to add to SMEs, in my opinion, other services that are not necessarily usage-related, but that can help them doing business. And we can talk about CRM, we can talk about web agency, we can talk about how we can help them improve their SEO position. So all of these come into a customer focus and approach, and it brings me to what we think will improve your focus. So focus on usage and value. User focus to grow user engagement and usage, a rich network of source traffic, because as I mentioned before, we do not believe any in our company yellow will drive enough traffic to satisfy our advertiser needs. So we need to build this network with other sources of traffic. Very, very important, and we've moved already there in Truvo. This is not theoretical. We actually, in most of our trees today, 20% of our sales are based on Zen contacts. So we don't sell the products anymore. When we go see the customer, we propose a total number of contacts or a total number of leads. It's pretty prognostic. We decide ourselves what is the ad that we put in, what is the ad that we put in online, what is the ad that we eventually need to drive in order to get them back. Completely product agnostic, and I can even in crisis time, our performance in those contracts, contacts and leads is 9 to 12% better than when we sell simple products. I think it's the way to go. And the fourth point, by the way, I apologize for my noisy voice. I have a bad cold. I'll try to go as fast as possible so that I don't too long. And then the fourth bullet point is simplicity, as I mentioned before. So what does it mean? If you translate this in a vision, you see again 50 user advertiser. And the three main things to take away from this chart is that on the advertiser side, we want to be a trusted advisor, and we want to deliver more business opportunities to our SMEs. On the user side is that we want to build a preferred community for the local products and services. We need to build a community. That's something that we have to be able to do if you want to keep usage. And then thirdly, to do all of this, you need to obviously change drastically the capabilities that we have in our companies. I'm not saying that all of this is easy. I'm far from saying that. I'm just saying that if we don't do anything, and if we just keep and stay and wait, I just think that the decline will accelerate, and then we'll be in quite some trouble over the next few years. We have tremendous assets today, so if we tackle it enough, we can react to this very, very well. So very quickly, what does it mean? For users, we want them obviously to find what they're looking for, to share, which is not something that happens today, to share their views, their results, their experiences with their peers. We obviously then want them to contact and buy from what they found in their Truvo search. From the advertisers, as I mentioned before, we want to go more and more from a paid for inclusion to a pay for performance, where we sell contacts, leads. You will probably notice that I try to avoid clicks, because most SMEs don't know what clicks means. And then you will spend another 15 minutes explaining what is the conversion of a click into a lead. And all of us know that you only have an hour and a half or 2 hours with a customer. So if you need to try to explain the ROI and the conversion rate and everything, you're gone for 4 hours. It's never going to work, in my view. And then the capability, we need to acquire and retain talent, especially in new media. I think Mark will talk a lot about new media afterwards, but something that does me quite a bit as a CEO of a still Yellow Pages company is that I think everybody in this room would agree that new media is our future, right?